Well, hello, everybody. We are live on Facebook, and this is episode 11 of Lighten Up with Sunny Wilkinson. And today, I am so thrilled to have as my special guest Mike Eyia, um, really a legendary and icon in our area of Latin and Cuban music, guitarist, composer, arranger, and boy, talk about a galvanizer of people. Let me introduce you to Mike Eyia. Hi, Mike.
Hi, everybody who's out there.
Yeah.
I can hear the applause somewhere.
Hey, it's Mike Eyia. I wore the shirt for Mike Eyia. Yeah.
My jazz jam shirt. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, I can't put that thing up so we can see that. Yeah, baby.
Yeah, it's
So,
dark in here.
tell the audience what Jazz Jam is, since we're
Well,
both.
Jazz Jam is a local organization that I was one of the original founders with Lois and Greg Hill.
Yes.
Lois is the president, and basically it's to promote jazz here in the Michigan area, mid Michigan area. We offer scholarships every year to worthy students coming out of high school, and do shows throughout the year. And every year we have someone that we also how do I say what's the word I'm looking for? We have a special guest, or not guest, but a special
Like an
award.
honoree. Yeah, the honoree, right, of the
Right,
year.
right. I think you were selected as one of the
Yeah, Ronnie and I were, and
top
we're
one.
founding members too.
Yes, that's right. You're founding members as well. Yes, that's correct.
Could
So
you do me a favor and just move that light right there is a little disconcerting. Could you just maybe
move it
out
out of the
a
way a
little
little
bit
bit,
more, a little more?
a little more.
That is perfect. Bingo.
Maybe I can turn it down a little bit.
I think that's good.
Is
That's
that
good.
okay?
Yeah. Well, Jazz Alliance of Mid-Michigan has really kept jazz alive in this part of the country. And
Yes.
I'm teaching one of the young kids that won one of the awards, one of
Uh-huh.
the high school awards. Now she's in college and she's a beautiful singer. Her name's Abby Zerby. Do you remember her? Beautiful young girl,
And that rings a bell. I don't know that I've met her,
very,
but yeah.
really good singer. And Jam was really helped promote her on the path. It's pretty cool, I gotta say.
Cool.
So honestly, Mike, looking into you and your roots and where you come from is one of the most fascinating journeys I've had so far on the show. So, do you mind starting out sharing with the audience about your Cuban roots and what the climate was there and how you got out and all that sort of thing?
Be happy to. Um, I left Cuba in June 2nd of 1961. Remember, like it was yesterday. I was 13 at the time, uh, and I came as part of something that was called at the time Operation Pedro Pan, or Operation Peter Pan. Now, what that was, it was a combination of CIA and a number of Catholic organizations like Catholic Social Services, Lutheran Services, and a number of others. They took out. They were able to move over 14,000 children in the space of 2 years from Cuba. And I think the reason the biggest reason for that was because Castro was starting to, when he took over in '59, of course, Castro was starting to teach kids how to march and how to become soldiers at the age of 15. In fact, I remember I was playing baseball with some friends in a park near my house. And one of the milicianos, or the militia guys that from Castro regime, these guys are always dressed in green and they had bandoliers and they were carrying guns and grenades and all this stuff. They come in and they stopped the game. They said, no, we're not going to play any more games. We're going to march. Lined us up in single file, teaching us how to march and stuff. Well, what the hell? We didn't want to do that. So my parents were not too crazy about that. So through this Operation Peter Pan, we made plans. There was a couple of ways to get out of the country. One was to come to the United States. Some went to Spain first.
Wow.
Okay. I had some relatives in Florida, and I came under the pretext of visiting my Florida family. When I got there, I think I spent a couple of weeks at an aunt's house, but then I was able to get into the Pedro Pan group, which was located. They had a Boy Scout camp called Camp Matacumbe, excuse me, in Kendall, and that's where we were originally housed for all these kids. And eventually it grew into they ended up having two places. They had Matacumbe, and then they had a place in Kendall where the boys would be in Kendall. No, the girls would stay in Kendall, and the boys went to Matacumbe. So I went as one of the first to go to Matacumbe to get the place set up, get it cleaned up, and get it ready. We lived in barracks back there. They had a nice swimming pool. We had a school set up. This was all done by Jesuit priests. So that's how I got here to the United States. And then from there, normally kids would only stay there for like about a month and a half. My sister was also going to come. She was 9. They didn't want to send me out until she got there.
Oh my. And
so I also stayed. I had been in an American school called St. George School. Mm-hmm. And that school, I learned English from the time I was in kindergarten. So my English was pretty good by the time I got here. So the priest kept me as a translator.
Wow.
Because they didn't know, most of them could not speak English.
Right.
And I remember in one particular case, I went to help the priest translate for the American priest. And the Cuban priest started talking in Latin to the American priest. And the American priest looks down at me and says, "Is he speaking Latin?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Tell him I don't speak Latin." I said, "Okay." So anyway.
Well, I have a question about your sister. Did your sister come over? I was a little confused. Did she come over before you? Or
no, she came after me. She followed about 4 months later. And in that period of time, then what happened, I was, then when she got here, then we ended up coming up here to Lansing. And I stayed at St. Vincent's home for 2 years until my folks were able to get out and come and join.
Was that arbitrary, you coming to Lansing? Was it just that they had a place for you?
I think at the time they had a place for me because they had different places where they would send you. I mean, all over the country. I mean, yeah. I was going to go to Montana at one point in time. They were going to send me down to Ohio. One was down south around Tennessee somewhere. And then because of all the changes and waiting for my sister to get here, I ended up here at St. Vincent's in Lansing. And 2 years there.
And how long were you and your sister here before your parents joined you?
I'm not sure exactly, but I think it was 2 years, 4 months, 3 days, and about 10 hours.
Wow. And would you mind if I asked you a few more questions about this? Because it's so fascinating.
Please do.
But Cuba has been the center of a lot of our politics, and some not so good, in our country.
Right.
I won't go into it, but we really did support Batista. Batista. Mm-hmm. The reason the whole revolution came is partially because American were dominating Cuba's economics, and he let the mob in, and it was such an entangled thing.
It was. Batista was a dictator. Okay, I mean, he'd been in power for over 7 years. He was definitely a dictator. Then they helped Castro also. I mean, it's as American politics go. Sometimes you wonder how things work out.
Yeah.
But they also helped Castro at the time, and then Castro never really defeated Batista. Batista just saw the sign on the wall and he just left. December 31st, 58, I believe, or 59. I think New
59,
Year's
I think. Yeah.
1959, I believe. Yeah.
Yep.
And Castro got word that he was leaving, so he triumphantly marched into the city of Havana, and became the latest dictator now for 60 years. His regime has been in power. Even though he's dead, his brother's still there.
Now, what did your folks do in Cuba?
My father was an accountant.
Hmm.
He had his own accounting firm. He kept books for a number of businesses in the area in Havana, and he was doing real well. You know, back in the 50s, he was making like, I don't, not bragging or anything, but he was making around 35,000 a year, which at the time was a
Wow.
tremendous amount of money. You know, um, but my mother was she was a housewife, and we lived in a it was like a condo building in El Vedado, which is an area of Havana. And we lived with, it was my mom and dad, my sister and I, and my mom's two sisters who were like around 15 and 17 at the time. And they were our babysitters, as it were. So, you know, they would walk us to school and, you know, and do all this stuff like that. Um, and that's pretty much it. I mean, you know, my mom was a housemaker. She had a couple of ladies that would come in and help her with laundry and with cooking and cleaning and that kind of thing. And, you know, we had a pretty nice life at that
And
point.
are they still alive?
No, they're both deceased.
They're both deceased. And
Yeah.
did they find a happy home here in the States in Lansing?
They did. They came after the Bay of Pigs invasion.
Yeah.
What happened was, you know, they captured all these guys and they had them in El Moro Castle, which is a place where big jail right at the by the Bay of the Havana Bay, where all the ships and stuff came in. And Castro traded the prisoners for farm implements, medicines, bombs, I mean, whatever you could trade for, ammunition, that kind of thing. And then they would bring the prisoners, or they would bring all that stuff in, unloaded, and then they would have let a certain number of people load into the cargo area on cots. Now, before you could leave the country, you had to give up everything. You had to give up your home, you had to give up your cars, you had to give up everything. My father was put the house in Havana. He put that up in my aunt's name, who still happens to live there. In fact, I visited her last year. Linda and I and my son and his girlfriend visited her last Thanksgiving. She's 86 years old now, ornery as ever, as ever. And
What a reunion.
it was quite a reunion. Yeah, I was able to, you know, it was a trip mixed with emotions. I mean, I relived my youth, you know, from the time I left. I used to walk to school, which I thought was about 1.5 miles away. It turned out it was about 3 blocks. Little, you know, a lot further, but it was only like 3 blocks at the most. It took
Yeah.
2 minutes to get there, and I thought, geez, it takes about 10 minutes to walk back and forth. This is about a 2-minute walk. So we visited that. We visited a beach house that my folks owned, which was confiscated, and it's now part of it's owned by the government, and they use it to, actually they're breaking it down, turning it into like a what do you call it, a rental place for foreigners to come. It's a beautiful place, a 2-story, sitting up on a hill overlooking the whole beach and stuff, and it's just gorgeous place. But yeah, I mean, it was full of emotions. You know, I got to see my aunt again, which I hadn't seen in almost, you know, 57 years, something like that. Went, you know, walked around Havana. The destruction of the infrastructure is what strikes you the most, except for the areas where the foreigners go. Those areas are pristine.
Right.
But things like, for example, my aunt has a rations book because Cubans are rationed food because there's enough food for the whole country except for the foreigners in the foreign areas. We were looking for orange juice one time. Couldn't find orange juice anywhere from a country that used to grow oranges, you know. There are shortages all the time. There was a toilet paper shortage, which is funny to the extent that there's only one newspaper in Cuba, which is called the Grama, Gramma, the Gram, NMA or MMA, I can't remember right now. But anyways, that was the name of the boat that Castro took to go into exile into the mountains out of Havana in the easternmost part of Cuba. And I got a couple of newspapers, and I was reading all that's in the newspaper is condemning the United States for this and that, and nothing else. That's all people get down there. But people are gotten smart about it, and they said, well, it's a good thing that grandma's out because we have no toilet paper. That's what they use. So I mean, that was the grandma would, the paper would disappear in minutes when the toilet paper shortage came. Yeah.
Okay, there is humor in this, but
there is
tragic and how sad. That's got to be so tough.
Exactly.
Will you go back again?
I would like to go back again. My aunt's dying for me to come back again.
Yeah.
She just loved the visit. She wants to see my son again. She gave me the original papers of the house that we owned at the beach, so I have those here. I don't know if there's anything that can be done about that. My father paid something like $35,000 for it way back in 56, 57. And there's two houses, one on top of each other. I mean,
right on the beach.
Yeah, they're turning it into like an Airbnb now, to rent it out to people. And they were actually in the process of remodeling when we were there, so we couldn't go in to see it. But I've got pictures from back in the early 60s, late 50s, early 60s, showing the house and how it was then. And then I took pictures now, how it is now. The landscape's pretty much the same. One, before I forget this, the entrance to the beach is called Santa Maria del Mar. It's St. Mary of the Sea. Santa Maria del Mar was the name of the beach. And at the time, back there in the 60s, there were 3 different professional clubs. One was the Bankers Club, one was the Doctors Club, like a Club Med kind of thing, and the other one was the Centro Detallista, which is bookkeeping, the bookkeepers. My dad belonged to the Bookkeepers Club, and we would go there every summer. In fact, my mother had a 58 Oldsmobile, I think it was. It was a Chevy. It's a little Chevy, and I learned how to drive a 3-speed going down to the beach because it was all private. So it was cool to learn how to drive.
How old were you? 10?
I was about 10, 11 at the time. Yeah.
Good for you.
But we lived when you go in, there's a hill, then there's a street here, then there's another hill, and then you have about maybe a half mile, 3/4 of a mile to the beach. So our house was at the beginning of the first hill. You make a left, and right on the corner. So there was nothing in front of us. It was just a hill, straight down. Well, after Castro took over, the first thing he did was, this is before we left, of course. The house above us, that was right above, on top of the hill above us, had a driveway, and it was a huge house. The guy had an elevator and everything on it. I don't know what he needed that for, but anyways, the garage was right above our house. So one day we go over there and we look up, and there's this tank in the garage with a turret right over the roof of our house, aimed out to sea. And sometimes we would go there in the weekends, and they would set up targets about maybe 3 or 4 miles out. They wouldn't shoot it from the tank, but they had artillery up on the hills behind it. And you'd hear the whatever, the bullet or whatever it is, go out and explode out near the targets and see. So they were having target practice over people's homes.
I cannot imagine the stress of living in that
Yeah,
and knowing things that were changing so drastically right in front of your eyes. I mean,
yeah.
that's
It was awful.
crazy.
I lost the ball. We were playing ball or something. The ball went across the street and went into the lot. So I went in there looking for the ball. All of a sudden, the soldier, huge black man, comes out. Stop! Freaking out. Says, "You can't go in here. There are landmines here. What are you looking for?"
Oh my God.
Looking for my ball. So he go around, looks and says, "Here you go. I'll get back." I mean, this is all residential areas, and there's all this stuff going on down there. It was, it was nuts. I think things are nuts now. You should have tried.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm so glad you and your family got out
Mhm.
and could make a life for yourself here.
Yeah,
That's crazy. It would be terrifying.
yeah.
So,
And my dad, they had to leave with, I think it was like $10 in their pocket and another change of clothes, and that was it. So he had to start all over again.
yeah, just how old was he?
Probably
Well,
about mid 30s, late 30s
yeah.
at the time, early 40s.
Well, we are going to shift to music, my friend. I
Good.
think honestly, we could spend a whole hour on this. Or
Yeah, we probably
there's a book. My God, you should team up with that author and write a book.
you could do
Let's
that.
go.
My son's been keeping track. I send him stories as I remember them, and
Yeah,
he keeps track of all that stuff. And he says, "I want to write about this book written someday," but we'll see. We'll see.
I'm in. I'll be a number one reader.
Okay.
I'll be a proofer.
All right. There you go.
So let's talk about. I mean, I know that you started studying guitar when you were 10 years old with a really famous conductor, Leo Brouwer, right?
Like, famous guitarist. Yeah, he's pretty avant-garde now. I mean, he's
Yeah.
but he was a classical guitarist. He was, I think, around 18 at the time
When you studied with him?
when I started with him. Yeah, he had horn rimmed glasses, and young guy with a lot of big, thick black hair, and he noted that I had a really good ear for music. Like he would want me to play a piece from a sheet, and I would listen to him play it, and I could just about play it exactly like he did. But he knew I was doing it by ear. He didn't know I was not quite reading exactly right. And he was, you gotta read, you gotta read the music. So he forced me to do that.
You're one of those.
Yeah, I'm one of those.
You're one of those. You hear things once or twice and you go, "Oh, I got it."
Yeah, and I can, yeah.
Yeah, we really hate you. Those
I,
people are slogging through
I,
to memorize something.
well, I love. I mean, the dedication it takes to read is amazing, and
Well, it's a skill.
it's a skill.
Reading is a
It's like,
skill. It's
it's
a
like
means to an end, right? It's not as important as what you have, in my
no,
opinion.
it's to me, it's like learning a language. I mean, it's learning another language.
Yeah.
Basically, it's what it is.
So one thing when I was reading up on you, I read up on him, and you know, he did become an aleatory composer, but he also wrote music for one of my favorite movies, from one of my favorite books. He wrote the music for Like Water for Chocolate. Did you ever see
I
that
didn't know
movie?
that. No, I was not aware of that. He
Well,
wrote the music. Oh,
he wrote the music for it, and I loved. I got kind of into those authors that what was the name of that movement? It was like mystical realism. I can't remember the exact name, but it was like Gabriel Garcia Marquez
yeah,
and Isabel Allende. And the gal that wrote that book, Laura Esquivel, wrote
SQL.
like Water for Chocolate, and I loved that book.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, anyway, I thought that was so interesting.
Yeah, he's very well known, especially in Spain. We went to Spain in 2018, in the spring of 2018, and went to a church in Barcelona to listen to this famous guitarist. I think his last name is Hernandez, I believe. I can't think of his first name right now, but anyway, I got one of his CDs here, which he signed for me. And he said, "Do you play?" I says, "Yeah, I studied under Leo Brouwer." And he said, "Oh my God, the master!" Man, he was just going on about Leo for all this time. I'm thinking, wow, I didn't. But I guess he's spending a lot of time in Spain right now too. So, from what I understand, he's got to be late 70s, early 80s.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
How about that?
So, yeah.
Well, tell us about your amazing band that you've had together for 35 years, which speaks volumes for you, my friend. Tell us about Orquesta Ritmo.
Well, it all started as a lark. I mean, we formed the Cuban American Association here in Lansing way back in the late 60s. I have to show you one of the shirts we used to wear. I got it in the closet down here somewhere.
Oh,
But
yeah.
anyways, back then we were let's see, I had two guitars, bass, drums, bass, congas, and timbales. So it was a little 5-piece. And I would figure out the songs, and we'd write down the lyrics, and we had 3 singers, and we just went at it for the fun of it. But then eventually, when it was getting close to the bicentennial, 1978, 76, I forget, 76,
Yeah.
the bicentennial, and we had just started the band like about a year before that, a year and a half before that. So we thought, well, let's have what's called a comparsa. A comparsa is a number of dancers, which it's all choreographed, and they play to the music of the band. So I ended up choreographing I had about 5 or 6 different tunes, and I had some girls that were models that were representing the island, the different provinces of the island, and all this other stuff. And we actually took that on the road. We went down to Dayton, Ohio. We went to a whole bunch of places that, we won a great big trophy, which I don't even know where it is anymore. Probably disappeared somewhere in one of the moves. But we had a great time with that. And we used to perform here at the City Market.
Okay, so I have to interrupt you and say, excuse me, you choreographed?
I did. Yes. Yes. Choreographed. I learned, well, ever since I was about 8 or 9, at the club where my dad belonged in Santa Maria, they would have dances on the weekends and stuff. And I learned how to dance at a young age. And I mean, it was nothing I studied, but I just knew the moves and some of the basic moves and stuff like that. And it just came to me. So we were doing a danzón, which is a classical form of Cuban music. So we did a danzón. We had a conga. I was lucky enough to have some friends who were really good dancers here, and and a lot of us, most of the people that were at St. Vincent's Home and some of the ones that came later, helped with the choreography and with the dancing. But there were, I think it was 12 couples, 6 models, and the band. So it was a pretty big thing to move around. But we did shows in Detroit. We did shows in Dayton. We did shows in a couple other places out of town. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
What? This sort of reminds me and makes me want to remind the younger people listening out there how things actually happen in real life. You had a group of people that you were gathering together for fun to make music,
Mm-hmm.
and little by little it turned into this astounding group that you have. Yeah. And you never forgot the connections that you had while you were young. These people at St. Vincent's that were so important to you became involved and made it more soulful, right? And made it more professional.
Exactly. In fact, there's a little clique of us here. There's let me see, 2, 4. There's about 6 or 7 of us. We still keep in touch by text. every other day or so. We got a little group in our phones, and we send messages back and forth. And they're like my brothers and sisters. I mean, I know these people for 60 years, and we just have a great time with that.
Plus, who else would have the same kind of reality as you?
Yeah, exactly.
You all came from this turbulent environment and
Yeah.
came together and built a family. That's
I
really
gotta show you that shirt. I'm gonna just go around the corner
get the
here.
shirt. You know what, Mike? While
Okay.
you get the shirt, I
Mhm.
am going to play a cut on YouTube of Ritmo in its current incarnation. All right?
Okay. Sounds good.
So, folks, I'm just going to share this screen with you, and you are going to hear Ritmo. I'm almost there. We're going to share this. I know that I can do this. Hold on 1 second. Well, that's not going to work. Share. And hold on 1 second, folks. This is the first time I have done this. And I got to make sure I share the sound. Okay, I shared the sound. I am in, and we are ready to go. This is Odiame, which means
Yeah.
hate me. Odiame.
Yeah, that was an old waltz that I rearranged into a.
Oh, will you hear it, folks? Here we go, Mike. This is Odiame, Orquesta Ritmo.
Ódiame por piedad, yo te lo pido. Ódiame sin medida ni clemencia. Odio quiero más que indiferencia, porque el rencor hiere menos que el olvido. Ódiame por piedad, yo te lo pido. Ódiame sin medida ni clemencia. Odio quiero más que indiferencia, porque el rencor hiere menos que el olvido. Si tú me odias, quedaré yo convencido de que me amaste, mujer, con insistencia. Pero ten presente, de acuerdo a la experiencia, que tan solo se odia lo querido. ¿Qué vale más? Yo humilde, tu orgullosa. ¿Qué vale más? Tu débil hermosura. Piensa que en el fondo de la fosa llevaremos la misma vestidura. Si tú me odias, quedaré yo convencido de que me amaste, mujer, con insistencia. Pero ten presente, de acuerdo a la experiencia, que tan solo se odia lo querido. Pero ten presente.
Oh, yeah, baby. That's beautiful, Mike.
Thank you. That odiame means hate me, but the whole premise of the song is you hate the things you love. So if you hate me, I know that you love me. Kind of thing. It's kind of but it's.
So, as an aside, I have to tell you, and I think you'll appreciate this. My husband and I are studying Spanish every day. Hablamos en español todos los días.
Qué bien.
Sí, está bien. Para mi esposo y yo.
Okay.
So, I just told Ronnie, I said, Ron, if we just listen to Mike sing, because your diction is so clear, you can really understand every word. And it's like, oh, I could learn a lot just by listening to you sing.
Yeah. I mean, that's all it is. I mean, it's if you go to Cuba or Spain and spend a month there, you'll be just as fluent as you can be. I mean, that would be the way to do it. It's just to kind of immerse yourself in it.
Yeah,
But
everybody talks way too fast.
Huh?
Everybody talks way too fast.
Yeah, people do. The Cubans in particular, Latin America, not just Cubans, but everybody in Latin America, just it sounds like
Yeah, especially when you're learning. I said, Ronnie, these are words that are really important when we go to a Spanish-speaking country. Más despacio, por favor.
And cerveza. Don't forget cerveza. That's a good one too.
Oh yeah, cerveza.
That's,
Yeah, con queso. That's great. So, tell us about you. Those horn parts were tight, my friend. Boy, they sounded great.
yeah, I've been blessed to have met as the band has developed plenty of musicians at Michigan State who are just absolutely amazing. Karl Poposky, the trombone player, he's a guy that's about 6'8", I mean, huge
Oh
guy.
yeah, yeah.
He helped me arrange a number of these tunes. I had a music teacher from the Flint area. He was a band director who played trumpet. He just fell in love with the music. My son Mike was playing Barry on that tune. And Mike, what's Mike's last name? He was at the time at Michigan. This was back a few years ago, about 10 years ago. He was at Michigan State, the other lead trumpet player. And he's now teaching out in Arizona. I can't think of his last name right now. It'll come to me in a minute. But yeah, I mean, they were tight. I mean, we rehearsed quite a bit. The music was written out. These guys could all read. So, I mean, it was just a matter of just putting the music in front of them. And after a couple of tries, we'd have it.
Doesn't that make a lovely difference, being able to rehearse and really work things out and tighten things up and become of one accord? I love that.
Yeah. It is. It's important. These days, it's kind of hard to do, but it's important.
Well,
to do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, some of my favorite people are in your band. John Gewirtz. Love that guy, man. What a beautiful player and cat.
Oh, amazing. He's amazing.
Yeah, he is really a great player. And
I have Austin Mutiala as one of the current students, because it's in every 3 or 4 years I progress to different students. But Austin has been awesome with us. Who do I have? I've had different people.
How about your percussionists? They're amazing.
Percussionist, I've gone through a number of them in recent years. None of the guys that are in that video are currently with me. I've had Pepe Espinosa, who is a multi-talented percussionist who worked with me for a number of years. He relocated back to Florida. Playing with, I mean, he's played with Paquito de Rivera. He's played with, boy, I'm having a hard time with names today. But he's played with a number of, excuse me, big time musicians. Mm-hmm. And also James Rodriguez, who was I met him in Grand Rapids. He's also a tremendous percussionist. That kid can play drums, congas. He plays just about anything you want to hear.
Yeah, I've heard him live. He's electrifying.
Yes, he's about 5 feet tall, but he's a big man. I'm telling you.
Terry Newman plays bass for you, does he not?
Terry Newman. Terry sent me a text. I gotta read this to you
all right.
He said, "Let me see. Where did it go?" This is. Okay, so we met in 2004 after I moved back from living in New York City for 18 years as a jazz musician. Dennis told you about me. We had one rehearsal and you gave me 3 gigs. The rest is history. Roughly 16 years with Ritmo. I said, okay, I'll bring that up sometime.
Just as a reminder. Hey, Terry.
Reminder, yeah. I think he's watching. So yeah, say hi to him.
Oh, I love it. And let me ask you about I know that Arlene she's told me that she is sometimes playing keyboards with you. It's a big thrill for her, and it's,
yeah. Right now, Arlene and Terry and I and, Mike Daniels are working on a project. We're doing a CD for Greg Hill.
Nice.
Some of his original tunes. I'm arranging some of them, and Arlene is helping with it. She's a tremendous help with that. And some of my original tunes, one of hers, she actually wrote a salsa number, I think, just being inspired from being in the working with us. And hopefully it'll be released sometime next spring.
Oh, that's exciting. That's wonderful.
So we get together here on the basement right here, one on each corner with masks on, and once a week, and we work on the arrangements and try to put these tunes together for future release. Eyia is going to be one of them. Changing that a little bit more instead of so many horns and stuff. We do a little bit smaller with a smaller group, and try to do maybe a little different arrangement to that.
Oh,
but
are you doing any of your original tunes on the?
Yes. I think the other tune I sent you was on there. That's the one I wrote originally from top to bottom. And
what a lovely segue. Shall we play that?
If you'd like.
All right, hold on now. I know I can figure out this sharing system. Here we go. Would you tell us, while I'm doing this, would you share the title?
Repica la Conga is the title of the tune. Is that too bright for you? Is it?
Repica la Conga.
Yeah. I think they call it the call of the drums, but it's close enough. Repique is when you play the drums, the that's a repique.
A repique, is that a certain rhythm? Repique?
It's repicar. It can mean a solo. Okay, as these guys repica. He's soloing or just lines on the conga.
Interesting. Okay, here we go. Repica la conga.
La alegría que existía en Cuba antiguamente fue cambiada por dolor, pero le digo a mi gente que su música sí vive con sonido sin igual cuando repica la conga con su sabor tropical. Desde Santiago de Cuba hasta la isla de Pino. Venga amigo, venga hermano, deja enseñarte el camino. Quiero presentarle al mundo un ritmo sensacional cuando la conga repica con su sabor tropical. Yeah.
Again, I hate to stop. I remember him. The trumpet player was there when I taught there. He was lovely.
Mike Saylor. That's
yeah, Mike Saylor.
I couldn't think of his last name.
Lovely player, really, really great guy.
He was.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have a question for you regarding your beautiful partner. Well, maybe not a question. I'd just like everybody to know that you are a power duo with your partner, Linda Vale, who is the head of the Ingham County Health Department.
Right. She's a health officer for Ingham County.
Ingham County, yeah, and has been right in the thick of protecting us and developing policy and making sure we're all safe during COVID.
Correct. She's been doing a tremendous job and very crazy. I mean, it's just absolutely a crazy thing. I guess nobody knows who a health officer is until there's such a thing as a pandemic. All of a sudden, you know what happens. Oh, here she comes.
Oh, good. You're going to say hi. Hello, Linda.
Just on her way.
I'm working on it.
Fantastic.
Hey,
Everybody.
everybody.
Yeah,
See you. I was listening upstairs.
oh, good.
Yeah.
Mike was telling us that you are sometimes putting in easily 14 hours a day.
There's been a few 18s for sure. So yeah, it's been a rough schedule. I think I worked 2 years worth of hours last year.
Well,
But all I can say is, I don't, it sounds like a lot. I hear a lot from people supporting and, oh my gosh, but as much as it's been hard and politically hard and the craziness that's gone on here, including a Rudy Giuliani hearing that I had to, quarantine legislators over, it's rewarding. It's very rewarding work. It really is. And this community has just stepped up and sent me all kinds of love and positive vibes. So it keeps me going.
I'm so glad. It's rare in someone's lifetime when you truly make a difference. We like to think that we do as musicians and I think we are. We're uplifting the spirit and we're moving bodies and minds and spirits. But my friend, you have made a huge difference in the lives of this county. That's got to be rewarding.
It is. It very much is. So thank you so much.
And thank you. Thank you. I'm going to cook for you. I'm going to ply you with margaritas.
Okay.
There you go.
I'm going to start a sign up.
Thank you,
Okay.
Linda. Thanks for popping in. Oh, what a cool couple.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
You guys are almost as cool as Ronnie and me.
Almost. You guys got the you get the vote. I gotta say something about Ronnie. I think he did the jazz night at Moriarty's. I know he's watching. I don't know, about last year sometime before this craziness started, and he just blew me away. He was amazing. So after he got done, I went up to him and I said, Ron, man, in a couple more years practice and you're going to be great. And he goes, oh, thank you. I mean, I was laughing so hard because I was just amazed at what he was playing. But
Well,
I thought
he's been practicing so much from COVID, like he's probably done 2 years of practicing in 1 year, so he's probably great now. That's hysterical.
Yeah.
Oh God! But you're a teacher as well.
I have taught. I don't have any students right now, but I have taught in the past. Yes.
You taught at LCC for 10 years, didn't you?
I taught at LCC for about 10 years. I did some private tutoring. Up to last year, I had a student or two last year. I mean, these days it's tough. I mean,
Yeah, it's hard to teach virtually. I always say virally. I mean virtually.
Virtually, yes.
So, for young singers out there, you've got this cool, like cutting sound in your voice that's so hip. Is that a natural sound? Did you work for that? Did you train for that? Tell us about that.
I think it's a natural sound. I've had very little vocal training, but it goes back to the ear thing. You got this ear that you pick up things, and they just come out after a while. There's a lot of to my singing. There's a lot of off tempo, where the tempo's over here, and I'm just kind of circumventing a little bit. That kind of thing. And I've heard you do that. You do a tremendous job doing that as well, a lot of times.
I was going to say that's so much like jazz phrasing because the time is here and you're
Right.
singing here and here,
Yeah.
and adding interest rhythmically, which I love to do that.
I do too, and I do it on my playing too. When I play guitar, the beats here, and I try to just go around it and do different things opposite to the rhythm, or what's the term for that? There's a term for that I can't think of.
I'm trying to. Well, you know what? Yeah, I don't know. Ron is yelling it into our ears. So, I've got to ask you just on a lighthearted note, have you guys been making any kind of wonderful food during COVID or any special drinks or Stuff to keep you entertained?
Yeah, food. We're down the road from Jimmy's pub over here, so I keep ordering there quite a bit, and we go to a couple of other places. I'm not the greatest cook in the world, and I will tell you that right now. But Linda puts up with my cooking, and I try to cook as often as I can. And she does some tremendous dishes. She did a couple of things for New Year's Eve. Stuffed jalapenos and I don't know, just some dishes that were just pretty amazing. So I mean, we drink a lot of wine. There's a little you had a thing here about sayings. If there was something aphorism or a phrase that moves me, there is one that I found on Facebook, and it's about COVID. And I got to read this to you because it's just hilarious. Home COVID test. Have you heard this before? Pour a large glass of red wine, and try to smell it. If you can smell the wine, then drink it and see if you can taste it. If you can taste and smell the wine, it confirms you do not have COVID. Last night I did that test 19 times and all were negative. Thank God. Tonight I'm going to do a test again because this morning I woke up with a headache and I feel like I'm coming down with something. Anyway, you better live by that. I thought that was pretty cool.
You may have to send that one to me. I like
okay.
That's good. That's a good COVID quote.
It is.
Okay, I have a couple quotes for you that
Okay.
I really like. So I don't think I've shared this one before. So this is by Frank Wilczek. If you don't make mistakes, you're not working on hard enough problems. And that's a big mistake.
Yeah. That's
Isn't that
very
good?
That is great.
I've said
That's
this
great.
one before, but I love this one too. I prepared to be as unprepared as possible, and that takes a lot of preparation.
That takes a lot of preparation.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah, that's so true.
Sounds like a Jeff Kessler.
Oh yeah, that sounded nice at times there, Mike.
Yeah.
I heard what you were trying to say.
What's that?
I heard what you were trying to
Yeah.
say. Direct Jeff Pressler quote.
Kessler quote. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so my husband just came up with a sign that said rubato.
Rubato.
But were we thinking rubato? I thought we were talking about get. I thought we were talking more like that, right?
Counterpoint thing.
Yeah.
That's what rubato would work. I mean, that's pretty free,
Yeah. We'll go with that.
We'll go with that.
We'll go with that. Well, my dear, oh, you have another group that you're performing with.
I do. Yes.
The Rotations, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Tell us about that group.
I have that group. That's actually I got some pretty cool guys working with me. That's more of a funk blues, play at nightclubs kind of thing, just to stay relevant and busy and
Stay greasy.
and greasy. Yeah. I've got main guys are J.R. Stokes. Now, you may know J.R. Stokes. He's been the drummer for Rare Earth for the last 25 years. So he's been working with me now. We've been working together about 7 or 8, 9 years now. I
didn't know that.
Yeah. He's been the drummer for Rare Earth now for I think ever since the original guy quit about 25 years ago.
Wow.
I have Hank Horton's been playing bass pretty steady. You know Hank?
I love Hank.
He's an amazing bass player.
What a great bass player. Singer too. He sings great.
He played with Styx in Chicago for over 10 years.
Yeah.
Been in a couple movies with him. I mean, his guy is just amazing.
He played with Chicago.
And he played with Chicago, I think, also as well.
Wow. Yeah, I'd forgotten that. That's right. I knew he played with Styx.
Yeah.
My old manager in Los Angeles, Bill Trout, managed sticks during their big formative years. I should talk to Hank about that and
Yeah,
see if he ever knew Bill.
yeah, yeah. And then the other prominent person in the band is Jay Waller, which we call Mocha, which actually he spent 20 days in the hospital with COVID, but he's beating it now. But he is one of the funniest, biggest guys you've ever seen. And he's just hilarious. We just love working with him. Great singer. We all sing in the band. So, we get some pretty cool harmonies and things going with that. And we try to stick more to like the 70s, 80s type of funk. And I mean, these days, so you got a lot of hip hop, which is good. It's its own thing. But so that's the basic group. Sometimes we use I'll use if Hank's not available, I might use Mike Smalley, or I might use a couple of other guys. Mike Lynch plays keyboards with us every once in a while. Mike Scory plays keyboards every once in a while. So we call it the rotations because not all of us can make it every gig. So we rotate people in and out depending on who's who's available at the time. But that's the main core. And then also forming this little jazz group with Mike Daniels and Hank and I. We have a little jazz trio with John Gewirtz on occasion come in and play with us, and we do more. That's more of a jazzier thing that we do. So. But again, we were really getting going, and then the COVID hit, and I said, "Oh, okay, well, let's put that in the back burner for a while."
Boy, I cannot wait now to get out and hear live music again.
Well, I know.
Honestly, I became a little bit of a hermit and tucked away in my home, and I'm ready to break that routine.
Yeah,
it's
me too.
Live music and listen live music and play some live music and play with some other people and get out of the cocoon a little bit.
Yeah, get out of the basement. Like when we were starting way back when, the basement bands years and years ago.
And here we are again.
Here we are again.
Oh, well, my friend, we have successfully whittled away an hour together.
Really? Wow, that was quick.
And I was wondering, before I say goodbyes, if you had anything else that you wanted to share with us.
I think what I'd like to share is that people stay safe. Yeah. Please wear your masks. Stay safe. Mm-hmm. Everything shall pass. We will all be back together again soon. I can't wait to hug everybody and see them. And it's just a tough thing. It's been a very, very tough year, full of stress. Yeah. And I hope you're all in good health.
Thank you so much, Mike.
There and listen to salsa. Salsa is a good type of music to listen to. It lifts you up, lifts up your spirit.
Listen to salsa. Get those hips moving, baby.
There you go.
Thank you so much, Mike. Stay on with me a few minutes after we let go of Facebook Live, will you?
You bet. I'd be happy to.
Okay, now this is going to be completely out of sync, but Mike and I are going to sing happy birthday to my son, Chris. Even though we're not going to be together, we're just going to blurt it out.
Blurt it out.
Christopher is 27 years old today. Is that possible?
No.
Oh, happy birthday, Chris. We love you.
Chris.
Oh, should we do it in salsa? You have to set up the rhythm because I would do it different.
Sure. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Chris. Happy birthday to you.
Okay, let me try doing it. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, darling Christopher. Happy birthday to you. Before we say goodbye,
Yes, ma'am.
I have to thank the wonderful people at Smoke and Sled Dog Records, particularly Jamie Sue Seal and Susan O'Rourke, who do the fabulous publicity and help me with ideas and keeping it getting a little more professional each time. Thank you both. Next week, I mean, not next week, in 2 weeks, my special guest will be Kelly McDermott. She's a wonderful Celtic artist, so we're looking forward to that. And please, like Michael said, be safe, wear your masks, eat wonderful food, love each other, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you so much for being with us. Bye-bye.
Been an honor. Thanks.